Hello beautiful people, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video we are going to be making this beautiful dress. As you can see, this is it on my mannequin and this is how my client rock it on her birthday. This video is going to be like a sew with me kind of video because I lost some important clips. I need to confess now. So I lost some important clips. I made this video since last month, but I decided not to post it until after my client's birthday because I was trying to look for space and all of that. I lost some of the clips, but I'm going to explain what I actually did in those parts that I lost. Okay, so in our last video we drafted this pattern. I think that's the last video before this one. We drafted this pattern and we manipulate that on the pattern. Okay, so as you can see, there's no dart in the pattern because we already closed the dart from the pattern. Okay, so if you haven't watched that video, please go ahead and watch it. I'll leave the link in the description box and somewhere around here. Go and watch it. We drafted the pattern and we manipulate the dart, and this is me using a pattern now to cut it on this fabric. I'm just going to extend the length to my client length. All right, her length is 60. I mark out the length and I'm going to add extra 7 inches to the length. You can make it longer than this depending on your fabric. All right, so I'm going to take the measurement of the hip and then mark it at the length of the dress, and I will add extra 5 inches to that. All right, mark the hip measurement and then I add extra 5 inches to that to make it wider at the down part. You can make it straight, you can connect it straight to your nail line. It's actually okay. All right, so we want a flay on the down part. So initially I make it an A-line shape. So I connect the hem of the dress to the hip initially, based on the style that my client gave me, but she later decided to make it fitted at the hip line. She said I should just make it open from the nail line. All right, so I'm connecting it now to the hip line to get an A-line shape, but like I said, I later adjust it and connect it to the nail line instead, because that's what my clients want. So just do what you want. All right, so I'm just going to cut it off. I left ½ inch at the shoulder and I'm leaving ½ inch at the armhole as well, and the remaining part I'm just going to follow the pattern. We have our allowance on the pattern already. All right, we added allowance on the pattern, 1½ inch allowance, so I'm just going to follow it up and cut it all the way just like this. So this is it for the front piece. I'm just following the pattern. Like I said, the dress is not going to have that because the dart has been manipulated from the pattern. You can also use a stretchy fabric. For the back piece, the same thing, the same pattern for the back that we drafted. So I'll use the back pattern to cut out the back piece. I left 5 inches by the sides, just like this, ½ inches by the side for the extra allowance we are going to be adding. And for the zipper allowance, the dress is going to be having zipper by the side, not at the center back. So I'm going to remove 1 inches from the zipper allowance. The zipper allowance is 1½ inches, leaving just ½ inches for the back, 2 stitches of 2 back piece together. I mark out the length of the front piece, the length of the dress, and the extra inches that I added to the front piece. Okay, you want to make it the same length by the side so that when you join them, the front and the back piece together, they are going to meet. Okay, by the side, but at the center back we are going to add extra inches.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire.
So I marked the same length with the front. Okay, and then I'm going to mark the hip measurement just like we did to the front piece. The hip measurement from the center back, mark the hip measurement and add the extra 5 inches. I think it's 5 inches. So add the extra 5 inches and connect it to the to the hip. Okay, like I said, you are going to connect it. If you want it like the way you see it on my clients, please connect it to the knee line, not to the hip line, because I later adjust it. So I'm going to connect it all the way like this, from the length of the dress all the way to where I want the flay effect to stop. Okay, so connect it all the way to the hip just like this. Okay, and then at the back, the center back, I'm going to go down. I'm going to add the length of the center back, so I'll go down by 8 inches. Is it 8 or 9? I can't really remember, but just go down as you want it to be. Okay, make use of the length you want. So I went down by around 9 inches. Then from there I added extra 5 inches outward from the center back, 5 inches outward. If my fabric will allow me, I'm going to even add up to 10 inches, but my fabric will not. I don't have enough fabric. So from that from the inches I added outward, I'm going to connect it to the center back just like this. I'm connecting it to the center back, and like I said, on the center back I remove 1 inch from the zipper allowance, so we only have half inch there. I connect it to the half inch. All right, the half inch is to join the two back piece together at the center back. The zipper is going to be by the side, so I'm connecting the length of the center back to the pattern just like this. And then I'm going to, with a curve, I'm going to connect the length of the center back to the length of the side back just like this.
In a little town, just a dot on the map, where the river bends and the railroad tracks, I saw you there in the neon glow, under the sign of the old rodeo. Your eyes were stars on a summer night, and your smile, it made everything right. We danced to the sound of a lone guitar, two souls meeting under the southern stars.
I'll come back to the center back, cut out the side back just like this.
In the quiet of the night, just you and me, two hearts beating as one, endlessly.
Every necessary allowance have been added on the pattern, so I'm just going to add allowance on the armhole and the shoulder. So for the center back, like I said, we are removing 1 inch from the allowance we added at the back. So I'm just going to trace the back pattern just like this. I'm going to trace it, and then I'm going to minus 1 inch from the back. Okay, so that we'll end up having only half inch for the center back. I hope this is understood. And I'm going to use the same neckline for the front. I just use the same neckline for the front. Okay, and I'll cut it out all the way just like this, and this is our back piece. Okay, our two back piece, but the front is on fold. For the dripping, okay, for the dripping at the back, I marked 3 inches on one end, 3 inches on fold. Okay, 3 inches on fold on one end, and on the other end I'm using 5.5 inches. You can make it 6 inches. All right, that's the amount of fabric I have. I'm just trying to manage my fabric. So for the length, I'll be using 55 inches. You can make use of the exact dress length if you want. This totally depends on you. You can make your own shorter. Anyhow you want it is actually okay. I'm just going to cut it off just like this. Okay, I'll cut it off and I'll stitch it down with half an inch. I'll stitch down half an inch at the to join the two ends together. Okay, I'm going to leave the down part. That's where we are going to turn it to the right side. So after stitching it down, this is what I have. I'm going to turn it to the right side just like this and then iron it down. So this is what we are going to be using for the dripping at the back. And for the overlap, you're going to make sure you have a very long fabric. I don't have a long fabric, so I have to join these two pieces to get the length that I want. I'm going to join the two pieces with half an inch. The total length is 45, but I'm going to cut out the excess, and the width is 16 inches. So I make a loose stitch at the line that I joined them together. I made a loose stitch and I'm going to make gathers just like this. And this is what I have. Like I said earlier, I lost important clips. The cutting of the mono straps neckline is, I lost it, and the stitching tutorial, I lost it, guys. I'm so sorry about that. I think I have a mono strap tutorial in the channel. I'm going to check it and leave the link in the description box. So the neckline of the overlap, I used the dress to cut out the upper part. The upper part of the overlap is the same neckline effect with the dress. All right, I cut out a facing and I used the facing to trace the upper part of this overlap, so it's having the same shape, so that when you turn it to the right side, it's going to overlap like this. So I fold in the excess fabric. I'm going to cut it off, but I need to get my desired shape before I cut it off. And this is the back. Okay, this is how I attach both the back and the front piece. So from the inside, I'm attaching it from the inside just like this. I pin it down. I'm going to pin down everything and then make sure I get what I want, and then use my needle and thread to tag it before removing it from the mannequin to stitch it on my sewing machine. So I'll use my pin and pin down the upper part. Like I said, the upper part should have the same shape, the same neckline shape, all right, the same mono strap shape with the dress, so that it will relax very well. So I'm just tagging everything down, as you can see, making sure the join at the shoulder. I'll make sure I get my desired effect before stitching it down. This is how it's going to be. Okay, the dripping at the back, you just fix it at the very close to the shoulder, so it will look like it's coming out from the shoulder. I hope this is clear, guys. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I'm going to cut off the excess fabric just like this. So once you get what you want, you cut the excess fabric you don't need. All right, so I'm just going to cut it all the way just like this, and the length as well. I'm going to cut the excess. Okay, the same thing to the front. I'm cutting out the excess fabric at the front as well. Okay, so just fold it the way you want, and make sure you mark. If you need to mark, make sure you mark the part you're going to cut off. The shoulder, I'm going to tag it down, and then when I remove it, I'm going to stitch them down on the shoulder. Okay, so I use my needle and thread to make sure everything is in place before removing it on the mannequin. So this is what we have at the end of the day, guys. This is it on my client. Very beautiful. She loves her dress. She's happy. I am happy. Everyone is happy. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all in my next video, okay, which is definitely going to be a complete tutorial, guys. I'm so sorry. I love you. Bye.